Monday, everybody, and happy President's Day today. We just so happen to be taking a look at the presidential elections and seeing, do they have an impact on the real estate market? If you take a look back at the last 13 presidential elections, specifically in the months of October and November, October to November, month over month, has seen an average decrease of 15% in the market. So as we're leading up to that election, it seems like, people are kind of putting a break on things, and we have seen a decrease month over month between the months of October and November. Taking a look at the data beyond that, December of that same year through the following year, the lost sales were recovered. So the 15% decrease in sales looks like it was picked back up once that president was elected. People are, question, is it seasonal related? Is it election related? There typically is a decrease in the fall months, but at least taking a look at the last 13 presidential elections, we have seen a decrease. All right, now we'll take a look at some mortgage rates. So up here, you're going to see the average annual mortgage rate since 1972. You'll see this chart really doesn't show anything. There's not much I can infer whether it was a Democrat that won, Republican that won. There's not too much going on trend-wise. Just besides the fact that, wow, man, buying in the 80s, those interest rates were much higher than the national average of 7.81. Then the average from the 90s till now is about 5.87. So, we're sitting a little bit higher than that right now. We'll see. It doesn't look like this election is going to have any bearing on what happens with our interest rates moving forward, but who knows? We'll see what it looks like after the election. All right, here we have annual home sales since the year 2000. There's not much you can tell between the difference of Democratic wins or Republican wins. They each kind of have their own thing, but the coolest thing to look at this graph is that each year after an election, you'll see that the number of home sales went up. So I think the only year that didn't happen in was 2016. It kind of stayed the same. Every other year besides that, it went up the following year. So, I don't know what to say there. All right, let's redo this one. All right, one cool graph to really look at is this home sales. This is your average annual home sales since the year 2000, I believe. Stop saying One really cool thing. One thing that you can tell here is when you look at this annual home sales graph. This, again, whether it was a Democratic win or Republican win, there's not much of a difference. But the one common thing that you're going to see throughout this graph is the year following an election, home sales go up. So a lot of people will say, is it no difference between a Republican or Democratic, but it's more just the fact that, okay, we know who's in, we know what their policies are going to be. People feel a lot more comfortable to make a move, especially knowing that they're locked in for the next 4 years. So definitely found it curious to see that didn't matter whether it was a Democrat or Republican win, yet the year following an election, you always have seen an increase in annual sales. Last little piece that we took a look at here was the actual housing prices. According to a study done by Movado.com, house prices typically rise about 1.5% less during an election year than in the year prior to the election, and 0.8% less than in the year following the election. So what are our final thoughts? Honestly, when you take a look at it, it's not a huge difference when you see the real estate market. But for the difference that it does make, it is that fear of change, fear of the unknown, right? To quote the broker in the Matt Larissy group in Chicago, whenever people get nervous, they don't make rational decisions, they make emotional decisions. So, people are thinking what's going to happen next, and then once the election's over, we know what's going to happen the next 4 years, people are able to use that information and move on kind of more comfortably rather than take a pause to figure out what's going to happen here. So does the presidential election have a huge impact on the real estate market? Not really. It really just depends on, each individual person, kind of what's going on. But all I know is this spring market is definitely heating up. We've seen more listings this year than there has been in the last 3 years countrywide. So if you ever have any questions or thoughts about listing, don't hesitate to reach out. I am all about planning, making that next move. So thank you for tuning in, and I hope you guys have a good day.